Processing looks at transforming raw materials into consumable food products, and also we saw that preservation. These are methods and techniques in which we try as much as possible to extend the shelf life of foods. We looked at a number of different factors that are present that lead to food deterioration, or what you could call spoilage. We saw things to do with microorganisms, we saw things to do with the moisture content or the water content, where we appreciated things to do with the water activity. However, also we looked at a number of methods of preservation, where we looked at the drying method, and we understood that really key to remember were the nuts and the cereals, where the drying method removes the water content from the food. Also, we looked at the salting when we were looking at the crusting. But also, we saw that salt also breaks down cell walls of different microorganisms, I should say. So, today we are going to shift gears a bit and look at food additives, and we will understand that in the food processing and also in food production, there are a number of additives that are being used here and there. And most of the additives that we know about are the flavorings and also the sweeteners. Basically, for every individual who has taken the and all those others, we understand that there are a lot of artificial sweeteners that they are in. Some are indicated and some are contraindicated, depending on whatever condition that the individual is suffering from. All right, so to begin, we are saying that these food additives are any substances always added. Yes, please. We are saying that food additives, these are substances that are added to our products in their small quantities or in their small amounts that perform that specific technical function. And we'll see a number of functions depending on which additive that is being added. And we are saying these are distinct from food ingredients, which are basic materials used to prepare the food. I hope that one comes in a little bit clearly. So why do we add additives to food? One of the reasons as to why we add additives to foods, we are saying these help us in preserving the quality and extending the shelf life of food. For example, those antimicrobial agents, the preservatives, an additive that is performing the role of a preservative. Once someone is using it in their product, they will label it that these additives have been put, coloring additives have been put, or something like that. Antimicrobial additives have been put. And this gives us a leeway of understanding what date should we put for the expiry of that particular commodity, or what date should we put for best before use of that commodity. And we're also saying that these additives are put in foods to enhance the appeal of these foods, things to do with the properties of appearance, the taste, and also the texture, and also the flavors, colorings. And some of them are used in the processing, such as the leavening agents when we come to bread making and also cake making, and also the yeast when you are making those foods that require aeration to happen. We're also saying these additives are used to aid preparation and processing. This we have talked about. And we are saying these maintain the product consistency. For example, the emulsifiers, the stabilizers, the thickeners, the anti-caking agents, and the enzymes. We saw work, partly the work of enzymes yesterday in breaking down our foods leading to deterioration. But however, some of these enzymes we require them so as to be able to catalyze reactions to give us some of the desirable foods that we really require or desirable flavors. When we talk of emulsifiers, remembering our science back then, we are saying an emulsifier or emulsification is that process by which we are trying as much as possible to mix these immiscible liquids, for example, the water and oil. So we want to them to make a stable solution. So a stable mixture, that is when we use an emulsifier. We won't go into detail of how the emulsifier works, but really you could go and do some research on that. But we are trying as much as possible to see that we also use these additives to improve and also maintain the nutritional value. You'll understand that some of the additives will bind to these small compounds and these small components to prevent these nutrients from leaching into maybe the cooking liquid and also vaporizing through the vapor that comes out when you are preparing these particular foods. And when we talk of safe use of these food additives, what are those considerations that you should follow or you should know before you try to use these additives? You are saying these additives should be used. We are saying, remember from the beginning slide, we are talking about these additives being put in small amounts, okay? And we are saying they should be safe at their intended levels. You should not put an additive that is going to cause a public health concern or something that is going to cause people ill, okay? And then there should be justified use, saying there are no health risks, and we also presume that the additive you're going to use is of at most benefit to the consumer, and also maybe if there is a technical need or a technological need that you need to put that additive and etc. Let's not look at the end game or looking at the profit basically when we are using these additives, but we are also looking at what is the consumer going to benefit when they are using this particular food that is containing this additive. Right, and we are saying these are used at minimum effective level. As long as the effect of that additive is being evidenced or is being seen, then that is when we should stop using. Then actually, you want to make the product the additive itself. That is not recommended. And we are saying this should also be in line with the regulations and should also comply with the existing laws and safety standards, including guidelines of the Food and Drug Authorities and also the World Health Organization, both locally and internationally. Also, we are saying that the correct dosage should be adhered to, and we are looking at this will prevent the overuse. Basically, that is what we have looked at earlier in the other slides. But also, we are saying ensure that only additives that are sanctioned by the regulatory bodies. However much you want to use an additive, let's use those ones that are now known and also they have been given leeway or a go ahead to be used in the food production or in the food processing industry. Also, we are saying that be able to inform the clients who are going to be consuming this particular food through clear labeling. And also, when you put these labels accurately on these additives, you can also chemical compositions of these different additives and also look at the different diseases in which these additives are contraindicated so as to be able to prevent calamities that could happen or conditions that could arise from when people are using your particular foodstuff that contains that additive. We are saying this can, when we're looking at the classification of these additives, we are saying this can be classified according to their origin. And we will understand that we have the natural, the man made, and also the artificial, where we are saying the artificial. Really it is in between man-made really and artificial. So some people have valued it is closely linked or closely similar. But when we talk of the natural, we are saying these are found in nature. For example, the beetroot juice extract, which is E162, which is used as a coloring agent for those juices that you make and those beverages. But also some people have tried to use purples Okay, when they are making passion fruit juice, they use purple solids to add its color. This could lead to a few issues if things are not handled well. You know how soggy the purple is, and also how sometimes it tends to have rot inside or rotten parts. And all these come in handy for a person who is trying to do food processing. But we've said that beetroot is a good coloring agent. It will bring that color to that particular food. And beetroot has its own importances where we are talking about the ions and etc. So for the man-made, we are talking of the synthetic, and these are identical to the natural substances such as benzoic acid used as a preservative. And for the artificial, we are saying these are chemically synthesized and not found naturally, and these are used basically in most of those dairy products that you see, the vanillas, the strawberries, etc. And some other types of these preservatives are looking at these antimicrobial agents. The antimicrobial agents, these prevent and also retard the growth of microorganisms. And this we saw some of them yesterday, such as the sodium chloride when we're talking about deterioration. So the preservatives, some of them here, when we talk of an additive, we are talking at an additive playing the role of a preservative. So we are saying that the first and the most traditional preservative we have is the table salt or the common salt or what we call a sodium chloride. And we talked about it dehydrating these microbial cells through osmosis yesterday and preventing the oxidation. And we talked about it in its attempt of reducing water activity, leading to retardation of growth of these microorganisms. For the antioxidants, the E300 and E399, these prevent oxidation of food components, which lead to spoilage and also quality. You remember when we talked about oxidation leading to acidity or giving of those off flavors from the fats. So using those antioxidants, we could try as much as possible prevent that. So what are the examples of these antimicrobial agents? We have acids. Okay, we are saying microorganisms are sensitive to acids, and the most effective forms of weak acids and in their undissociated form. For example, the acetic acid, and this one we have seen it basically in most of the recipes for people who are doing product development and for the people who are doing food processing. The major acid in vinegar, which is 4%, and it is most effective against bacteria, yeast, than mold. Okay, so for if we think that the foods that we are preparing are susceptible to be attacked by a microorganism in the form of bacteria or yeast, then we would look at using vinegar. And this is used in the bread, the meats, and also ketchup, mayonnaise, and also the pickles. Salt forms, we are saying these are prepared for better water solubility, the sodium acetate, the potassium acetate, and the calcium acetate, so that they can dissolve better into that particular food ingredient that you're trying to produce. For the sorbic acid, that is its chemical formula. We are saying this inhibits mold and yeast growth, especially effective against molds. We have looked at the acetic acid or the acetate being able to inhibit both yeast and bacterial growth. But for the sorbic acid, we are saying this will help us in preventing the growth of basically mold and yeast. And we are saying this one is used in cottage cheese and also those other baked goods, which usually tend to get moldy, and also fruit juices, the wines, the soft drinks, and also the pickles. Also, we are talking about it's being more effective in its undissociated form of a pH below 4.75. So the most common form of this sorbic acid is the potassium sorbate, also available as sodium sorbate and also calcium sorbate, I should say. So, furthermore, looking still at other examples of these antimicrobial agents, we are looking at these parabens or the p-hydroxybenzoates, and these are all esters of the parahydroxybenzoic acid. Okay, that is where we have the methyl paraben, and also we have the propyl paraben. And we are saying these are most effective with the longer chain esters and they are effective against molds, yeasts, and also less effective against bacteria. For example, if an assessment comes and they're telling you that this particular food is susceptible to spoilage through molds, through yeasts, and through bacteria, you will be able to give us your understanding and why you think this particular antimicrobial agent is what is preferred compared to the others, I should say. So this is still used in those bakery products, the soft drinks, the beers, the olives, the pickles, jams, and jellies, etc., and often used with benzoic acid in slightly acidic foods. For benzoic acid, still the same, most effective in the yeast and bacteria, and lesser effective against molds. We are looking at its usage being in the carbonated drinks and also carbonated beverages, sauerkraut, the jams and jellies. However, we've looked at most of them having low pH levels. Remember, we're talking about the role of acids, and we are saying that the acids in most cases retard and also destroy these microorganisms. So usually, this benzoic acid is used as a sodium benzoate, where it is more soluble in this form, and also due to safety regulations limiting its concentration to zero point 0.1, I should say. Also, we still have the natural antimicrobials such as the niacin, which is a natural bacteriocin produced from fermented milk. And we are saying that this niacin is effective against a wide range of foodborne bacteria such as the Clostridium botulinum. We understand that there is a family of Clostridium botulinum and also Clostridium perfringens. All of these enhance food deterioration and food spoilage. Hopefully, we understand their differences later on and which foods do they attack. It could come in most of your assessments, and they will only put the different bacteria or the different microorganisms, and then they will ask you to say which foods are susceptible to spoilage if attacked by the different microorganisms. We hope you will be in a position to understand them. And we're saying this is used in processed cheese and also and refrigerated perishable foods such as the meat, the fish, and the poultry. We're saying that this niacin, being naturally occurring from the fermented milk, it is heat sensitive. Okay, and its use is limited in the non-acidic foods. For the sulfite and also the sulfur dioxide, these also limit the growth of microorganisms, most especially the bacteria, and in the different foods that which these are used. But also, like we are talked about the carbon monoxide, we are also looking at where it forms that reddish color or brownish color. For this sulfite, we are looking at it being an anti-browning agent, preventing that discoloration. But also, the carbon monoxide was also able to prevent this. So, you dip the food into it or as a gas, either way. But then safety considerations should be taken because most of these are a little bit dangerous if put in excessive amounts. That's why some people try as much as possible to limit themselves to those that are well known or to those whose adverse effects are not that detrimental to health. So what are the other examples of these microbial agents? We have the nitrite, the antimicrobial agents. We have the nitrite and also the nitrate. We are saying these are used for red color in those cured meats such as the bacon, the ham, and the etc. And like most of you know that when you look at the food that is prepared by those countries that are the developed countries who have abundance of these chemicals at their disposal to use as preservatives, their foods look a little bit different compared to ours. We understand that there is also that cinematic effect that comes from the people who are watching the television sets and all, but we understand that a lot of use of these additives are plenty, and also some people have budgeted a lot about these additives, about their carcinogenic elements within them, and we understand that carcinogenic elements give off free radicals, and these free radicals are capable of causing mutations, which mutations lead to cancerous cells growing within our body. And no wonder people tend to give their theories about how we have a lot of cancers in those developed world, which brings us to antioxidants. And we're saying, what is the use of these antioxidants? These control lipid oxidation, where we are looking at the degradation of vitamins, the colors, and also those of flavors that come. So these antioxidants also delay and prevent the food deterioration by oxidative mechanisms. We saw some of them yesterday. So what are the two methods? Some of the methods include the processing and packaging techniques that exclude this oxygen. We will look at the airtight sealing, but also adding chemical antioxidants, some which could be the natural and synthetic. Okay, so autooxidation and free radicals, you are saying autooxidation is the reaction between fats and oxygen creating those free radicals. And we have said that these free radicals are highly reactive and cause of flavors and rancidity, of flavors and odors, which we call rancidity. So whoever says rancid or the fats have gone rancid, you just realize that those fats are giving off a false smell. For the antioxidants as additives, we are saying these react with free radicals to slow this process. Some of them bind to these free radicals so that they stabilize them. Remember, these free radicals are unstable, so they just go all over and stabilizing the different atoms in the different molecules. Okay. Take examples of the other antioxidants. We have the tocopherols. That is why the tocopherols from the vitamin E derivative are highly indicated for people who we suspect to be growing these different forms of cancer, for people who have undergone chemotherapy, for people who are still in those small stages, in the early stages when the cancer has been found early. We tend to eat foods that are high in vitamin E. And also, so we also have the enzyme catalyzed oxidation, and we are saying these are specific enzymes can oxidize these food molecules, affecting the quality, leading to enzymatic browning of fruits and vegetables. This we looked at it yesterday when we were looking at food spoilage and food deterioration. Also, for the antioxidants for enzyme catalyzed oxidation, we are looking at reducing agents such as the ascorbic acid, or what we call the vitamin C, and also enzymes inactivators such as the citric acid and sulfides. So citric acid we get from fruits, likewise ascorbic acid in vitamin C still we get from fruits. The antimicrobials which will help us inhibit the growth and the spoilage from this pathogenic microorganism. And these are often used with other techniques, other preservation techniques such as refrigeration, I should say. So basically, these are not all, but some of the examples, okay, of the natural antioxidant. So in most cases, if we say examples, that doesn't mean that is the whole list. Okay, so we are looking at these as the few that we would pull out. So one, we are looking at the ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, the tocopherols, which is the vitamin E, the beta carotene, the provitamin A, which we get from carrots, and also the green leafy vegetables, the citric acid from fruits, and also spice extracts from the onions, the rosemary, the tea, and etc. Okay, so acids and food additives. Acids as food additives. We've looked at a number of them. We've looked at a few of them, the benzoates, the acetates, and etc. So what do they really do? One of them we have said that they help us in preserving, okay, such as the subic, the benzoic, the propionic, and also the acetic acid. And also we are looking at the taste and flavor enhancing. They give us a sour taste, for example, the vinegar. Okay, this is dependent and relative on individuals. Because for me, what I feel will be sour for me, someone will come out and say, okay, for me, it tastes well. And also we have the acidulants. These lower the pH levels of the food. And once the pH is lowered, then we do not expect microbial growth to happen. But also slow acid release such as the gluconodelta-lactone, which is key in the leavening of breads and also those other wheat products, coagulating agent in the cheese making. That is the lactic acid, the citric acid, and also the hydrochloric acid. When we talk of coagulating, we are talking about you all understand that cheese is made from milk. So remember, cheese becomes hard when you put, I think, is it? I'm trying to, I'm forgetting, but I think is it sodium? We put some salt in that cheese. There is some type of cheese where we put salt a bit. I remember we did some process of cheese making. I don't know whether it was with this class or with a different class, but well, that is it. So in the coagulation of the cheese, we need the cheese to become solid from whatever way that was left to coagulate. We need to put these acids, the lactic, the citric, and also the hydrochloric acid. The chelating agent, will look at it binding to metal ions, but also look at its contraindications when and when not to provide the foods that are rich in these particular nutrients due to the chelation effect that could happen. Also, buffering not only acidulant in lowering the pH but also maintaining it. Okay, so various weak acids and their salts perform this particular role. So buffering agents, okay, or acidity regulators. And we are saying these control and minimize the changes in pH of food. And we understood that pH is also a factor that leads to microbial growth. And we are saying this is made by mixing these weak acids and its salt or the conjugate base or vice versa. So these weak acids or bases do not fully ionize the solution, so they do not make it completely acidic. And we are saying the commonly used the sodium salts, which include the acetate, the citric, the gluconic, and also the phosphoric acid. Also, for the chelating agents or the sequencants, we are saying these are compounds that form those complexes with the metal ions, okay, and altering their properties and their effects in food. So, what is the purpose of having these chelating agents or having these compounds that form complexes with those metal ions that are already present in food? We are saying these remove the undesirable effects of the iron, the copper, and etc. Okay, and also catalyze oxidation and also cause discoloration and degradation. So when chelation happens, these are removed. The effects of the iron and copper are removed. But also this helps us in stabilizing these foods, and these act as antioxidant synergists. Synergists means they perform a role in that process of antioxidation. All right, so for the chelating agents, we have the natural ones happening, such as the chlorophyll, the myoglobin, the hemoglobin, vitamin B12, or what we call cobalamin, and also the ferritin, the iron form, the naturally occurring iron form. So common chelating agents in foods, we have the citric acid, the citrates, the phosphoric acids, the phosphates, and also the disodium EDTA or the ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid salts. Right. Really, this is where the question would require you to talk about nutrient interactions when we are looking at additives and going to add them to foods. And we will ask you what chelation is and which foods, which foods will undergo chelation. So you should be knowing the different nutrients that are composed in those foods. And once those foods are mixed together, when chelation happens, the same we will ask when we talk about coagulation and emulsification and etc. Right. So for the additives by function, still we are going to look at them briefly. For the pH adjustment, more acidic or more alkaline, we are looking at the sodium hydroxide and balancing that is key. For the color and the flavors, we are looking at browning and also caramelization. So these ones will help us. The food additives will help us in the pH adjustment, but also they will help us in enhancing the color and flavor. But also, they will help us in acting as leavening agents, where they produce carbon dioxide gas in dough and butter with the moisture and heat. Examples of this is the common one, the sodium bicarbonate. Okay, yeah, the sodium bicarbonate, or which we call the baking soda. Some people have called it other names. A lot of names have come for this compound. Okay, food additives by function itself for chemical peeling, we are looking at treatment of fruits and vegetables with still this sodium hydroxide, okay, solution at 3%, that is at 60 to 80 degrees centigrade. So easier peeling due to solubilization of the pectic substance that is formed in that hard cover or hard outer covering of that fruit. Okay, this we have looked at it, the leavening agents. So basically, the sodium bicarbonate we have been looking at as one of the leavening agents that are present as an additive. We are saying that this is the most common leavening salt, and it requires separate acid addition for its activation. Though in most cases we do not add a lot because right now it uses acids that are already present, but also it's found in self-rising flours such as the cake mixes, the baking powders, and etc. Baking powder, still we are looking at it. There are so two types. We have the single acting containing baking soda and fast acting at low temperatures, where this is where they put the bread out, or they leave it to swell after covering it with that one. Really, no, that is the least bit of it. I don't want to confuse it, but yeah, that is the process. Also, we are saying this releases carbon dioxide rapidly due to addition of water. Also, we are saying double acting containing baking soda as fast acting at low temperatures, such as the calcium phosphate, and low acting and high temperature acids, such as the sodium aluminum sulfate. So this releases carbon dioxide both at room temperature and also during baking. However, for the single acting, we are looking at it releasing carbon dioxide on addition of water. All right, so we have looked at a number of them. So let's look at the most common one. However, we've seen the most common ones in baking soda, but really most of the foods that we consume as individuals have artificial sweeteners as additives. And we're saying these are non-nutritive and non-carbohydrate sweeteners, which are very low in calories. Okay, and we will see a number of them, a number of examples. And when are they contraindicated and when are they indicated? For example, for people who are suffering with diabetes, this is where we've had a drive of people saying, oh no, Coke Zero still tastes the same, but it doesn't have any sugars added into it. So that is where we need to come up as public health professionals and question the company that is manufacturing that, whether they consider all possible health conditions or health concerns that could arise for them using these artificial sweeteners in that amount or in that volume. But really, these conglomerates and also these companies pay a lot of money to the authorities. To actually, most of them, they are the ones that pay money for those regulatory bodies to run. Just imagine my company is the one that is funding the World Health Organization more. If my company is funding the World Health Organization more, that means the World Health Organization will not exert its rule or scrutiny on my company because they know I'm their biggest donor. So likewise, these companies, most of them give the Food and Drug Authority a lot of funding. So when it comes to scrutinizing them, it is very, very minimal. All right. We are saying these artificial sweeteners are non-nutritive and non-carbohydrate sweeteners and very low in calories. That is to say that these are used in various products such as baked goods, beverages, etc. What are the requirements that these sweeteners should have? They should be safe for consumption. They should have a sucrose-like taste or sugar-like taste. They should be water-soluble, stable to heat, light, and also the pH changes. And they should be cost-effective compared to sucrose. Okay. Yeah, for example, we have the sucralose, and you will see that these are, I mean, most of those foods that are indicated for the people who are having diabetes, but also the saccharin or the sulfonamide sweeteners. This is 300 to 400 times sweeter than sucrose. And after testing at high concentrations, you still feel that your tongue is still feeling sweet. The biggest one that you will find on market among these artificial sweeteners is this aspartame, bullet number 5, which is 180 to 200 to 200 times sweeter than the normal sugar, and also it is unstable at high temperatures and acidic conditions. So you will hear a lot about aspartame and sucralose. The rest are going to understand the saccharin, the acesulfame, potassium, the cyclamate, the aritame, the neotame, but really key considerations should be on aspartame and sucralose because those are the mostly abundantly used artificial sweeteners or additives in this case. So you should be able to look out and understand the different foods in which these are put and how you would be able to advise clients who come to you. Anti-caking agents, we are saying these prevent caking and clamping in dry powdery foods. Okay, caking is agglutinating or coagulating, let's say. Okay, so we are saying how do these work? These work by absorbing excess moisture or hot particles with water repellent properties. Examples of these anti-caking agents as additives. Remember, we were looking at the technical functions of those small substances that you add to foods being the definition of additives. So that mechanism, hopefully you've understood it. For the examples, we are looking at calcium silicate and also calcium stearate, magnesium stearate and also magnesium silicate as the anti-caking agents. For the stabilizers, we are saying these stabilize emulsions, suspensions, and foams. And we are saying they help us in thickening the foods and also improving the texture. Remember, texture is a sensory attribute to our food. Okay, there are some textures that you just look at and lose appetite for that particular food. So these additives help us in doing all the types of these stabilizers and thickeners. We have the hydrocolloids and also some proteins such as the gelatin, where we are looking at the gums and jellies, etc. And these include increase the viscosity or form the gels that we look at. And these are applied to provide smoothness and also body to the food, such as dressing the salads, the puddings for people who have consumed a few of them, and also the fruit pie fillings. Right, then the fat replacers. The fat replacers, these mimic sensory particle properties of fats, giving you the mouthfeel, the texture, without being actual fats. And this reduces the calorie intake and calorie intake of these foods, such as the sucrose, polyesters, and the polydextrose. We understand when we need to prescribe this. And remember, for the fats provide pseudo-satiety to an individual. So using these could also come in handy for people who always want to feel as if they're eating fats. That is why I'm telling you, when it comes to nutrition, or when it comes to you providing this information out there, go out there and do the research, because at the end of the day, when you do something good for a client, when you are a step further, or when you're a little bit different, with the type of care you're giving to a client, this client will come back or they will get for you business to continue providing your services elsewhere. Than you sitting down on your stomach or is looking at only the cases that come forward on that day. You involve yourself in doing research in whatever field that you want to pursue, be it nutrition, be it food service, be it anything. For example, the people in the food service industry, you can't right now be in the food service industry and expect to speak English. We understand you can speak English, but then try Arabic, try French, try Italian, try Spanish. Those 4 major languages, 5 major languages, and even German is key. and tell me whether you will fail to get a job. So let's be hardworking out there. Back to class, we had looked at these the fat replacers, the sucrose, polyesters, depending on the degree of esterification. This may or may not be digestible and absorb calories. And etc. Those are the examples. For the polydextrose, we are saying this is synthesized from glucose, sorbitol, and citric acid. It is water soluble and it is multifunctional. So we are saying that its main role or the main major role it plays, it is its role in reducing the fat content and also calorie intake. And we are saying this acts as a bulking agent since it retains moisture and a stabilizer and a thickener. Those are all its roles as an additive. It is used in the cakes, desserts, frozen products, puddings, and also other
Yes, hello,
salads.
sir.
Right. Yes, please.
Yes, sorry for interruption. Yeah, I was
Yes.
raising my hand, but I think
Oh,
uh,
I'm presenting in a
yeah,
wide mode,
yeah,
so I can't
yeah.
see your hand.
All right, yeah, this is what I'm about to ask also because the presentation is not visible.
Is
We are
it
not
not
seeing your
visible to you
presentation.
alone or to everyone?
Ah, this is what I don't know, but for me it
Yes,
is not visible. Yeah,
colleagues. Is
yes.
anyone
At,
else able to
at
see
least
the
now,
presentation?
yes.
It is visible. It is visible.
Now it is visible. I can see now. It go
Oh,
off
so
again.
I think it might have been an issue with the network, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
So where did we lose you?
So from we have talked of about the fat.
The fat replacers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fat replacer.
we were just looking at briefly the sucrose polyesters, the polydextrose, and we're looking at them creating that feeling that you're eating fats yet you're not eating. And their role in it from glucose and sorbitol and citric acid. And also, we are looking at them having multiple functions that they perform, such as a bulking agent, stabilizer, and a thickener, and the different foods in which these are used. Hopefully, that was clear, right? Additives gets lost during preparation and processing. You realize that a number of nutrients are always lost when we are trying as much as possible to conserve them. However much you're using that conservative method of cooking, still at some point we tend to lose these minerals. Even we lose minerals when we are just peeling off the food, removing that hard covering, still we lose. So we are saying these 45 foods to address some of this. We have the vitamin A and D in the dairy products and the cereals, the vitamin B in flours and cereals and pastas, vitamin C in fruit beverages and dairy products. And also we are looking at the minerals such as calcium, iron, and also the dietary fiber. We all know the importance of dietary fiber in the digestion and etc. How emulsifiers work, this we looked at it, and we had said that the emulsification is a process that allows these two immiscible liquids, such as the oil and water, to mix and form a stable solution. We will find a lot of these emulsifiers for people who are going to be doing food production and food processing. But also, we are looking at the hydrophobic, which is a fatty, and the hydrophilic, which are the water loving parts. Okay, so these each gets attached to the end. For example, this hydrophobic will get attached to the fat, then the hydrophilic gets attached to the water, and then they will form that, they will hold those molecules together. And it is, you will go and look at that emulsification in detail. Hopefully, we'll look at it in detail in our next presentation, hopefully, if I remember, but I will remember it. remember because our next presentation is tomorrow. So we'll look at it briefly before we proceed. So the other function it is to disperse oil in water, such as mayonnaise. For people who enjoy mayonnaise, a lot of emulsifiers are there. And for the benefits, we are saying uniform flavor distribution and also prevent ice crystal formation today. Unless there are any queries, I beg to stop our engagement here and thank you for attending. Do we have any concerns?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Suli.
Yes, please.